Listen carefully. Every breakthrough you want, every level you dream of, every version of yourself you're desperate to become is locked behind one skill: the ability to delay gratification. The world is addicted to shortcuts, to comfort, to instant pleasure, and that addiction is destroying potential. But not yours. Not anymore. Starting right now, you will learn how to resist the temptations that weaken you, outlast the impulses that sabotage you, and dominate the long game with discipline so unshakable it becomes your superpower. This is the hidden key to power and success, and today you claim it. Chapter 1. Stop trading your future for the present. You need to hear this clearly. You are losing more time than you realize. Not in big, dramatic moments, not in life-changing decisions, but in the tiny, invisible choices you make every single day. Scrolling, snacking, procrastinating, delaying the work you know you need to do, choosing comfort over progress. These micro-decisions are not harmless. They are not neutral. They are not small. They are the quiet thieves of your future. Every time you reach for the easy option, you are making a trade, a dangerous trade, a trade that feels harmless in the moment but compounds into regret later. You are sacrificing tomorrow for 5 seconds of comfort. That's the truth, and you need to face it without excuses, without denial, without sugarcoating. You have a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment. You can choose the impulse, or you can choose the future. That's the key. Most people never understand this. They think discipline is about big heroic actions. They think success is built on rare moments of inspiration. They think failure comes from one catastrophic mistake. But that's not how life works. That's not how success works. That's not how discipline works. Your life is shaped by the small decisions you repeat. Your identity is shaped by the impulses you obey. Your future is shaped by the comfort you choose today. It's not about laziness. It's about discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time. You need discipline. Let's break this down. The cost of micro-decisions. Every time you pick up your phone to scroll for a minute, you're not just wasting time. You're training your brain to seek stimulation instead of focus. You're teaching yourself to avoid boredom instead of mastering it. You're reinforcing the habit of distraction. Every time you snack when you're not hungry, you're not just eating calories. You're teaching yourself to soothe discomfort with pleasure. You're reinforcing emotional impulsiveness. You're weakening your ability to delay gratification. Every time you procrastinate on a task, you're not just pushing it to tomorrow. You're building a pattern of avoidance. You're strengthening the identity of someone who doesn't follow through. You're sacrificing long-term progress for short-term relief. These choices compound. These choices accumulate. These choices define you. And here's the part most people never admit. You know exactly when you're making the wrong choice. You feel it. You sense it. You hear that internal voice saying, "Don't do it." But you do it anyway, because it's easy, because it's comfortable, because it gives you 5 seconds of relief. And those 5 seconds are destroying your future. If it costs your future, it's too expensive. Say it again. If it costs your future, it's too expensive. That's the mantra. That's the standard. That's the filter for every decision you make from this moment forward. LONGDRM thinkers versus short TRM reactors. Let's compare two types of people. Short-term reactors. They live in the moment, not in a mindful way, but in a reactive way. They chase comfort. They chase pleasure. They chase distraction. They avoid discomfort. They avoid effort. They avoid responsibility. They want results without sacrifice. They want progress without discipline. They want success without patience. Their life becomes a cycle of starting and quitting, trying and giving up, dreaming and never doing. Long-term thinkers. They play a different game. They understand the power of delayed gratification. They understand that discipline compounds. They understand that small sacrifices today create massive rewards tomorrow. They don't chase comfort. They chase growth. They don't chase pleasure. They chase purpose. They don't chase distraction. They chase mastery. They don't need motivation. They rely on discipline. They don't need permission. They rely on commitment. They make decisions based on who they want to become, not how they feel in the moment. That's the difference. That's the separation. That's the line between mediocrity and greatness. Real examples of LONGTRM thinking. Look at elite athletes. They don't train because they feel like it. They train because the future demands it. They delay comfort. They delay pleasure. They delay gratification. Look at successful entrepreneurs. They don't build businesses by reacting to impulses. They build by making disciplined decisions over and over again. They delay the reward. They delay the celebration. They delay the comfort. Look at top students. They don't study because it's fun. They study because they understand the long-term payoff. They delay distraction. They delay entertainment. They delay gratification. The pattern is universal. The principle is universal. The truth is universal. If it costs your future, it's too expensive. What you must do now, you need to reclaim your micro-decisions. You need to take back control of the small moments. You need to stop trading your future for present. Here's how you start. 1. Interrupt the impulse. When you feel the urge to scroll, pause. When you feel the urge to snack, pause. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, pause. You have a choice. That's the key. 2. Ask the question, does this cost my future? If the answer is yes, even slightly yes, walk away. If it costs your future, it's too expensive. 3. Replace the impulse with intention. Do one small action that moves your life forward. 1 rep, 1 page, 1 email, 1 step. Small actions compound. Small actions build identity. Small actions build discipline. 4. Build the identity of a long-term thinker. Say it out loud. I choose the future. I choose discipline. I choose long-term over short-term. Identity drives behavior. Behavior reinforces identity. That's the loop. That's the system. That's the transformation. The final truth of this chapter. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not doomed to repeat the same patterns. You simply need to stop making trades that destroy your future. You need to stop giving away your potential for 5 seconds of comfort. You need to stop choosing the moment over the mission. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose the future. Choose discipline. Choose the long game. Because if it costs your future, it's too expensive. You understand the cost now. You understand the trade. You understand the danger. Good, because now we move deeper. You've learned how your micro-decisions shape your destiny. Now it's time to confront the force that keeps you stuck in the present. Chapter 2. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. You need to understand something fundamental about your life. Something most people never see. Something that quietly destroys potential long before failure ever shows up. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is not harmless. Comfort is not neutral. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. It feels good. It feels safe. It feels familiar. But it is the single biggest force pulling you away from the person you want to become. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. Comfort is the quiet assassin of discipline. Comfort is the invisible wall between you and your future. And the worst part? You don't even notice it happening. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. You can choose comfort or you can choose growth. You can choose ease or you can choose excellence. That's the key. Most people choose comfort, not because they're weak, not because they're incapable, but because comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers. Comfort reassures. Comfort promises relief. But comfort never delivers progress. Comfort never delivers transformation. Comfort never delivers greatness. Let's break this down. The trap of comfort. Comfort trains you to avoid effort. Comfort trains you to avoid challenge. Comfort trains you to avoid anything that stretches you. You wake up tired. Comfort says, sleep a little longer. You feel stressed. Comfort says, take a break. You feel bored. Comfort says, grab your phone. You feel overwhelmed. Comfort says, do it later. Comfort always offers the easy way out. Comfort always offers a short-term fix. Comfort always offers the path of least resistance. But here's the truth you must accept. The path of least resistance leads straight to mediocrity. Comfort is not about rest. Comfort is about escape. Comfort is about avoiding the work that matters. Comfort is about protecting your ego from discomfort, challenge, and growth. You don't need their permission. You don't need comfort's approval. You don't need comfort's validation. You need discipline. Because it's not about feeling good. It's about becoming great. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about embracing it. It's not about staying safe. It's about stepping forward. The brain loves comfort, and that's the problem. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It wants predictability. It wants familiarity. It wants the known. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels predictable. Comfort feels familiar. But safety is not growth. Predictability is not progress. Familiarity is not transformation. Your brain will always push you toward what feels good now. Discipline pushes you toward what will feel good later. That's the battle. That's the conflict. That's the war inside you. It's not about laziness. It's about discipline. It's not about weakness. It's about discipline. It's not about lack of motivation. It's about discipline. You have a choice. And every time you choose comfort, you reinforce the identity of someone who avoids challenge. Every time you choose discomfort, you reinforce the identity of someone who grows. Identity is built through repetition. Repetition builds belief. Belief builds destiny. Real examples of comfort versus greatness. Look at elite athletes. They don't chase comfort. They chase mastery. They chase improvement. They chase the long game. Training hurts. Recovery hurts. Discipline hurts. But they choose it anyway, because they understand a simple truth. Comfort never made anyone great. Look at successful entrepreneurs. They don't choose the easy path. They choose the path that demands sacrifice. They choose the path that requires patience. They choose the path that forces growth. Comfort would have kept them small. Comfort would have kept them average. Comfort would have kept them dreaming instead of doing. Look at top students. They don't study because it's comfortable. They study because the future demands it. They study because discipline compounds. They study because they refuse to settle. Comfort would have kept them distracted. Comfort would have kept them unfocused. Comfort would have kept them behind. The pattern is universal. The principle is universal. The truth is universal. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. What comfort is really costing you? Comfort costs you time. Comfort costs you discipline. Comfort costs you momentum. Comfort costs you identity. Every time you choose comfort, you delay your future. Every time you choose comfort, you weaken your discipline. Every time you choose comfort, you reinforce the wrong habits. Comfort steals your potential in small, quiet moments. Comfort steals your ambition in tiny, invisible decisions. Comfort steals your greatness one easy choice at a time. And here's the part you must face. Comfort feels good now, but it creates pain later. Discomfort feels hard now, but it creates power later. You have a choice, and that choice determines everything. How to break free from comfort. You don't break free by waiting. You don't break free by hoping. You don't break free by wishing. You break free by acting. You break free by choosing discomfort. You break free by building discipline. Here's how. 1. Do the uncomfortable thing first. The task you avoid is the task that grows you. The discomfort you resist is the discomfort that transforms you. The challenge you fear is the challenge that builds you. 2. Build micro-discomfort into your day. Cold showers, early mornings, focused work, intentional silence. These are not punishments. These are training grounds. 3. Stop negotiating with yourself. Comfort loves negotiation. Comfort loves excuses. Comfort loves compromise. Discipline does not negotiate. Discipline does not bargain. Discipline does not wait. For redefine discomfort as progress. When it feels hard, you're growing. When it feels uncomfortable, you're evolving. When it feels challenging, you're becoming someone new. That's the key. That's the shift. That's the transformation. The final truth of this chapter. Comfort is not your reward. Comfort is your obstacle. Comfort is the barrier between who you are and who you could be. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose discomfort. Choose discipline. Choose greatness. Because comfort will cost you everything, and greatness will give you everything. You understand the enemy now. You understand the trap. You understand the danger. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned why comfort destroys your potential. Now it's time to learn how to control the moment before the impulse takes over. Chapter 3. Master the pause before you act. There is a moment in your life that decides everything. A tiny moment, a silent moment, a moment so small most people never notice it. It's the moment before you act, the moment before you react, the moment before you give in to the impulse. That moment is your power. That moment is your leverage. That moment is your freedom. And most people waste it. Most people ignore it. Most people let the impulse win. But not you. Not anymore. You have a choice. And the choice happens in the pause. That's the key. The power of the pause. The pause is a space between stimulus and response, between urge and action, between emotion and decision. It's the space where discipline lives. It's the space where identity is shaped. It's the space where your future is decided. When you pause, you interrupt the autopilot. When you pause, you break the pattern. When you pause, you take back control. Most people don't pause. They react. They obey the impulse. They surrender to the moment. They feel stress, they grab their phone. They feel bored, they open a new tab. They feel anxious, they escape into distraction. They feel overwhelmed, they avoid the work. They don't choose, they react. But you're not here to react. You're here to choose. You're here to build discipline. You're here to build a future. And it starts with mastering the pause. Why the pause matters. Your brain is fast. Your impulses are faster. Your habits are automatic. But discipline is not automatic. Discipline is intentional. Discipline is chosen. The pause gives you time to choose. Time to think. Time to breathe. Time to ask the only question that matters. Does this action serve my future? If the answer is no, you walk away. If the answer is no, you break the pattern. If the answer is no, you choose discipline. Because if it costs your future, it's too expensive. You have a choice, and the pause gives you that choice. The science behind the pause. This isn't magic. This isn't philosophy. This is neuroscience. Your impulses come from the limbic system, the emotional brain. Fast, reactive, short-term. Your discipline comes from the prefrontal cortex, the rational brain. Slow, deliberate, long-term. When you pause, you give the rational brain time to activate. You give discipline time to wake up. You give your future a chance to speak. Without the pause, the emotional brain wins. Without the pause, the impulse wins. Without the pause, the moment wins. And when the moment wins, the future loses. That's the truth. That's the danger. That's the cost. Real examples of the pause in action. Look at elite athletes. They don't react to pressure. They pause. They breathe. They choose their response. That's why they perform under stress. That's why they stay composed. That's why they dominate. Look at successful entrepreneurs. They don't make decisions out of fear. They don't make decisions out of impulse. They pause. They analyze. They choose the long-term move. That's why they build. That's why they grow. That's why they win. Look at top students. They don't give in to distraction every time it calls. They pause. They refocus. They return to the work. That's why they excel. That's why they progress. That's why they outperform. The pause is the separator. The pause is the advantage. The pause is the discipline. How to master the pause. You don't need talent. You don't need motivation. You don't need permission. You need a system, a simple system, a repeatable system. Here it is. 1. Feel the impulse. Don't deny it. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Just notice it. Awareness is the first step. Awareness is the trigger. 2. Pause for 5 seconds. 5 seconds is enough. 5 seconds interrupts the pattern. 5 seconds activates discipline. Count it out if you need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is your moment. This is your power. This is your choice. 3. Breathe deeply once. A single breath resets your nervous system. A single breath calms the emotional brain. A single breath gives you clarity. 4. Ask the question, does this serve my future? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, walk away. If the answer is unclear, choose discipline. You have a choice, and now you're choosing consciously. 5. Take the disciplined action. Send the email. Start the task. Close the app. Put the phone down. Return to the work. Small actions build identity. Identity builds discipline. Discipline builds your future. That's the loop. That's the system. That's the transformation. The pause builds a new you. Every time you pause, you weaken the old identity. Every time you pause, you strengthen the new identity. Every time you pause, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you are in control. You prove that you can choose. You prove that you are not a slave to impulse. You prove that you are becoming someone new. The pause is not just a technique. The pause is a declaration. The pause is a statement of who you are becoming. You're not the person who reacts. You're the person who chooses. You're not the person who obeys impulses. You're the person who commands them. You're not the person who sacrifices the future for the moment. You're the person who sacrifices the moment for the future. That's discipline. That's power. That's transformation. The final truth of this chapter: your life will be defined by how well you master the pause, not by your talent, not by your motivation, not by your circumstances, by your ability to pause, to breathe, to choose. You have a choice, and the pause gives you that choice. Master the pause, and you master your impulses. Master your impulses, and you master your habits. Master your habits, and you master your future. You understand the moment now. You understand the power. You understand the responsibility. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned how to control the moment before you act. Now it's time to control the world around you, the world that shapes your impulses without your permission. Chapter 4. Your environment is programming you. You think you're making your own decisions. You think you're choosing your habits. You think you're in control, but you're not. Not fully. Not yet, because your environment is programming you. Every room you walk into, every screen you look at, every person you spend time with, every sound, every notification, every distraction, your environment is shaping your behavior. Your environment is shaping your identity. Your environment is shaping your future. And here's the truth most people never admit. If you don't design your environment will design you. You have a choice. That's the key. The invisible force controlling your habits. Your environment is not neutral. It's not passive. It's not harmless. Your environment is a system that rewards certain behaviors and punishes others. A system that nudges you toward comfort and away from discipline. A system that reinforces your impulses and weakens your focus. Look around your life. Your phone is always within reach. Your snacks are always accessible. Your distractions are always one click away. Your comfort is always available. And you wonder why discipline feels hard. You wonder why focus feels impossible. You wonder why you keep repeating the same patterns. It's not about willpower. It's about environment. It's not about motivation. It's about environment. It's not about weakness. It's about environment. Your environment is programming you. And right now, it's programming you to lose. The brain follows what it sees. Your brain is simple. It follows cues. It follows triggers. It follows what's in front of you. If your phone is visible, you'll reach for it. If junk food is accessible, you'll eat it. If your workspace is cluttered, you'll avoid it. If your bed is too comfortable, you'll stay in it. Your brain reacts to what it sees. Your habits follow what your brain reacts to. Your future follows your habits. This is not about discipline alone. This is about architecture. This is about design. This is about engineering your life. So discipline becomes a default. You have a choice. And the choice begins with what you allow around you. Real examples of environmental programming. Look at elite athletes. Their environment is built for performance. Their gym is structured for focus. Their routines are optimized for consistency. Their surroundings reinforce discipline. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure. They rely on systems. They rely on an environment that pushes them forward. Look at successful entrepreneurs. Their workspace is designed for clarity. Their schedule is designed for productivity. Their tools are designed for efficiency. They don't leave their success to chance. They build an environment that makes success inevitable. Look at top students. Their study space is intentional. Their distractions are minimized. Their tools are organized. They don't wait for the perfect mood. They create the perfect environment. The pattern is universal. The principle is universal. The truth is universal. Your environment is programming you. The dangers of a negative environment. A negative environment doesn't always look toxic. Sometimes it looks comfortable. Sometimes it looks harmless. Sometimes it looks normal. But it's destroying your discipline. A negative environment is one where distractions are easy, where comfort is abundant, where effort is optional, where growth is inconvenient. A negative environment is one where people around you normalize mediocrity, where complaining is common, where excuses are accepted, where ambition is mocked. A negative environment is one where your goals feel out of place, where your discipline feels strange, where your growth feels uncomfortable. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You need discipline. And discipline requires the right environment. How to reprogram your environment. You don't need a new house. You don't need a new city. You don't need a new life. You need new structure, new cues, new triggers. Here's how you start. 1. Remove the friction from good habits. Put your running shoes by the door. Put your book on your pillow. Put your water bottle on your desk. Make the right choice the easy choice. 2. Add friction to bad habits. Delete the apps that distract you. Move the snacks out of reach. Turn off notifications. Make the wrong choice the hard choice. 3. Clean your environment. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. A chaotic room creates chaotic behavior. A messy environment creates messy habits. Clean your space. Clear your mind. Reclaim your discipline. 4. Surround yourself with disciplined people. Your environment includes people. Their habits become your habits. Their standards become your standards. Their mindset becomes your mindset. If you want to rise, surround yourself with people who refuse to settle. 5. Create a space dedicated to your future. A workspace for focus. A corner for reading. A table for planning. A room for training. When your environment has purpose, your behavior follows purpose. That's the key. That's the shift. That's the transformation. The identity shift. When you change your environment, you change your behavior. When you change your behavior, you change your identity. When you change your identity, you change your future. You become the person who chooses discipline. You become the person who chooses focus. You become the person who chooses growth. You become the person who designs their life, not the person who drifts through it. Your environment is not just a backdrop. Your environment is a mirror that reflects your standards, a mirror that reflects your priorities, a mirror that reflects your future. If your environment is chaotic, your life will be chaotic. If your environment is intentional, your life will be intentional. If your environment is disciplined, your life will be disciplined. You have a choice, and now you know how to choose. The final truth of this chapter: your environment is programming you. Every day, every moment, every decision. You can let it weaken you, or you can design it to strengthen you. You can let it distract you, or you can design it to focus you. You can let it control you, or you can design it to empower you. You have a choice, and the choice is simple. If your environment costs your future, it's too expensive. If your environment weakens your discipline, it's too expensive. If your environment keeps you small, it's too expensive. You understand the system now. You understand the influence. You understand the power. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned how your environment shapes your behavior. Now it's time to learn how your identity shapes your discipline. Chapter 5, The Discipline Loop, Identity, Action, Evidence. There's a cycle running your life, a loop, a pattern, a system that determines who you are, what you do, and what you become. Most people never see it. Most people never question it. Most people never control it. But you will, because this loop is a foundation of discipline. This loop is the engine of transformation. This loop is the difference between the person you are and the person you want to be. It's simple: identity, action, evidence. Who you believe you are shapes what you do. What you do creates evidence. That evidence reinforces your identity. This loop can build you, or it can break you. It can elevate you, or it can imprison you. You have a choice. That's the key. Identity, the starting point of everything. Identity is not who you say you are. Identity is not who you wish you were. Identity is not who you pretend to be. Identity is what you repeatedly prove to yourself through action. If you believe you're undisciplined, you'll act undisciplined. If you believe you're inconsistent, you'll act inconsistent. If you believe you're weak, you'll act weak. Not because it's true, but because your brain wants to stay consistent with your identity. Your identity is the script. Your actions are performance. Your life is the result. Most people try to change their life without changing their identity. They try to build discipline on top of self-doubt. They try to build consistency on top of insecurity. They try to build a future on top of a broken foundation. It doesn't work. It never works. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You need a new identity, a disciplined identity, a long-term identity, a powerful identity. And you build that identity through action. Action, the proof of who you are. Action is not just movement. Action is not just effort. Action is not just doing something. Action is identity in motion. Action is belief expressed physically. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Every disciplined action is a vote for your future. Every undisciplined action is a vote against it. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. You can choose the action that reinforces the old identity or the action that builds a new one. That's the key. When you wake up early, you're not just waking up early. You're proving you're disciplined. When you go to the gym, you're not just exercising. You're proving you're committed. When you sit down to work, you're not just being productive. You're proving you're focused. Action is evidence. Action is proof. Action is transformation. But here's the truth. You don't need massive action. You don't need dramatic action. You don't need perfect action. You need consistent action. Small action. Daily action. Because small actions create evidence. And evidence builds identity. Evidence, the fuel of discipline. Your brain believes what you repeatedly show it, not what you tell it, not what you hope for, not what you dream about, what you show it. If you show your brain evidence of discipline, it will believe you are disciplined. If you show your brain evidence of consistency, it will believe you are consistent. If you show your brain evidence of strength, it will believe you are strong. Evidence rewires identity. Identity drives action. Action creates more evidence. That's the loop. That's the system. That's the transformation. But here's the danger. The loop works both ways. If you skip the workout, you create evidence of inconsistency. If you procrastinate, you create evidence of avoidance. If you give in to impulse, you create evidence of weakness. Your brain collects that evidence too. Your brain reinforces that identity too. Your brain builds that loop too. You have a choice, and the choice is simple. Which loop will you feed? Real examples of the discipline loop. Look at elite athletes. Their identity is built on discipline. Their actions reflect that identity. Their evidence reinforces it. They don't say, "I'm disciplined." They prove it every day, every rep, every practice. Look at successful entrepreneurs. Their identity is built on resilience. Their actions reflect that resilience. Their evidence reinforces it. They don't say, "I'm committed." They prove it through long nights, through setbacks, through relentless effort. Look at top students. Their identity is built on consistency. Their actions reflect that consistency. Their evidence reinforces it. They don't say, "I'm focused." They prove it through study sessions, through discipline, through sacrifice. The loop is universal. The loop is powerful. The loop is unavoidable. You are living inside this loop right now. The question is whether you're controlling it or letting it control you. How to take control of the discipline loop. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to become a new person overnight. You don't need to wait for motivation. You need to start the loop. You need to feed the loop. You need to reinforce the loop. Here's how. 1. Choose one identity you want to build. Disciplined, focused, consistent, resilient, patient. Pick one. Just one. Identity must be simple. 2. Choose one action that proves that identity. If you want to be disciplined, wake up on time. If you want to be focused, do 30 minutes of deep work. If you want to be consistent, show up daily. If you want to be resilient, finish what you start. One action, one proof, one vote. 3. Repeat that action every day. Not perfectly, not dramatically, not impressively, just consistently. Because consistency creates evidence. Evidence creates identity. Identity creates discipline. 4. Track your evidence. Write it down. Record it. See it. Feel it. Evidence becomes undeniable. Evidence becomes powerful. Evidence becomes identity. 5. Let the loop compound. Small actions become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. That's the loop. That's the system. That's the transformation. The final truth of this chapter. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not defined by your past. You're defined by the loop you choose to feed. You're defined by the identity you choose to build. You're defined by the evidence you choose to create. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose the identity that serves your future. Choose the action that proves that identity. Choose the evidence that reinforces your greatness. Because if your identity costs your future, it's too expensive. If your actions cost your future, they're too expensive. If your evidence keeps you small, it's too expensive. You understand the loop now. You understand the power. You understand the responsibility. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned how identity shapes discipline. Now it's time to learn how to train your brain to crave the long game. Chapter 6. Train your brain to crave the long game. Your brain is not built for greatness. Not naturally, not by default, not without training. Your brain is built for survival, for comfort, for instant gratification. It wants the quick reward. It wants the easy hit of pleasure. It wants the immediate payoff. But greatness is not immediate. Mastery is not immediate. Transformation is not immediate. Greatness is long-term. Mastery is long-term. Transformation is long-term. And if you want to reach that level, you must train your brain to crave the long game, not tolerate it, not endure it. Crave it. You have a choice. That's the key. The brain loves short-term rewards. Your brain is wired to chase dopamine, the chemical of reward. But dopamine doesn't care about your future. Dopamine doesn't care about your goals. Dopamine doesn't care about your potential. Dopamine cares about one thing. What feels good right now? Scrolling feels good right now. Snacking feels good right now. Procrastinating feels good right now. Escaping feels good right now. Your brain rewards a behavior that gives the fastest hit. And the more you repeat it, the more your brain craves it. This is why discipline feels hard. This is why long-term goals feel distant. This is why consistency feels unnatural. It's not about laziness. It's about wiring. It's not about weakness. It's about wiring. It's not about lack of motivation. It's about wiring. Your brain is wired for short-term, but wiring can be changed. Wiring can be trained. Wiring can be rebuilt. You have a choice. Neuroplasticity. Your brain can be rebuilt. Your brain is not fixed. Your habits are not fixed. Your impulses are not fixed. Your brain adapts. Your brain rewires. Your brain evolves. This is neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to change based on what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly choose distraction, your brain becomes addicted to distraction. If you repeatedly choose comfort, your brain becomes addicted to comfort. If you repeatedly choose instant gratification, your brain becomes addicted to instant gratification. But if you repeatedly choose discipline, your brain becomes addicted to discipline. If you repeatedly choose focus, your brain becomes addicted to focus. If you repeatedly choose long-term rewards, your brain becomes addicted to the long game. That's the transformation. That's the shift. That's the power. You have a choice. And every choice rewires your brain. Real examples of long game thinking. Look at investors who build wealth over decades. They don't chase quick wins. They don't panic at short-term losses. They don't react emotionally. They think long-term. They act long-term. They win long-term. Their brain is trained to value the future more than the moment. Look at elite athletes. They train for years before they ever see results. They sacrifice comfort for progress. They sacrifice pleasure for performance. Their brain is trained to crave improvement, not comfort. Look at creators, writers, and innovators. They work through boredom. They work through doubt. They work through slow progress. Their brain is trained to crave mastery, not stimulation. The pattern is universal. The principle is universal. The truth is universal. The long game belongs to those who train their brain to love it. The problem: your brain is addicted to now. You live in a world designed to hijack your brain. Notifications, ads, endless feeds, instant entertainment, instant pleasure. Everything is engineered to keep you addicted to the moment. Everything is engineered to weaken your discipline. Everything is engineered to destroy your long-term thinking. You are not weak. You are overwhelmed. You are not broken. You are overstimulated. Your brain is drowning in short-term rewards. And you must pull it out. You have a choice. And the choice begins with detoxing your brain from the addiction to now. How to train your brain to crave the long game. This is not about motivation. This is not about hype. This is not about inspiration. This is about rewiring. This is about repetition. This is about identity. Here's how you do it. 1. Reduce your exposure to instant gratification. Turn off notifications. Delete the apps that steal your focus. Limit the platforms that hijack your attention. If your environment constantly triggers short-term rewards, your brain will never crave the long game. 2. Increase your exposure to delayed rewards. Work on long-term projects. Set goals that take weeks or months. Track progress over time. Your brain must learn that the future is worth waiting for. 3. Celebrate long-term wins, not short-term hits. Don't reward yourself for starting. Reward yourself for sticking with it. Reward yourself for consistency. Reward yourself for discipline. You are teaching your brain what matters. 4. Practice boredom. Yes, boredom. Because boredom is the gateway to focus. Boredom is the gateway to creativity. Boredom is the gateway to mastery. If you can't sit with boredom, you'll never sit with greatness. 5. Build rituals that reinforce patience. Morning routines, deep work sessions, daily reading, weekly planning. Rituals train your brain to expect structure. Structure trains your brain to expect discipline. Discipline trains your brain to expect long-term rewards. That's the loop. That's the system. That's the transformation. The identity shift. You must become the person who thinks long-term. You must become the person who acts long-term. You must become the person who craves long-term rewards. Say out loud, I choose the long game. I choose discipline. I choose the future. Identity drives action. Action creates evidence. Evidence reinforces identity. You have a choice. And every choice builds the identity of someone who plays a long game. The final truth of this chapter: your brain is not your enemy. Your brain is your tool. Your brain is your weapon. But only if you train it. Only if you discipline it. Only if you teach it to crave the long game. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose the long game. Choose the future. Choose the identity that outlasts impulses, distractions, and comfort. Because if your habits cost your future, they're too expensive. If your impulses cost your future, They're too expensive. If your wiring costs your future, it's too expensive. You understand the brain now. You understand the wiring. You understand the power. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned how to train your brain to crave the long game. Now it's time to learn how to replace impulse with intention. Chapter 7. Replace impulse with intention. There's a battle happening inside you every single day. A battle between impulse and intention. A battle between the moment and the mission. A battle between who you are right now and who you are trying to become. Impulse is fast. Impulse is emotional. Impulse is reactive. Impulse is short-term. Intention is slow. Intention is deliberate. Intention is strategic. Intention is long-term. One destroys your future. One builds it. And every day, you choose which one wins. You have a choice. That's the key. Impulse, the enemy of discipline. Impulse is the voice that says, do what feels good right now. Impulse is the urge to escape discomfort. Impulse is the instinct to avoid effort. Impulse is the craving for instant gratification. Impulse is the reason you scroll instead of work. Impulse is the reason you snack instead of stay disciplined. Impulse is the reason you procrastinate instead of progress. Impulse is not logical. Impulse is not strategic. Impulse is not aligned with your future. Impulse is aligned with your feelings. And your feelings are unreliable. Impulse is the enemy of discipline. Impulse is the enemy of consistency. Impulse is the enemy of the long game. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need motivation. You need intention. Intention, the architect of your future. Intention is the opposite of impulse. Intention is a decision to act with purpose. Intention is a commitment to choose the future over the moment. Intention is a discipline to do what matters, even when you don't feel like it. Intention is not emotional. Intention is not reactive. Intention is not impulsive. Intention is deliberate. Intention is strategic. Intention is aligned with your identity. Intention asks one question: does this action serve my future? If the answer is yes, you do it. If the answer is no, you don't. It's simple. It's direct. It's powerful. You have a choice, and intention gives you that choice. The gap between impulse and intention. There is a moment, a tiny moment, between impulse and action. That moment is your opportunity. That moment is your leverage. That moment is your power. Most people never use it. Most people react instantly. Most people obey the impulse. But you're not most people. You're here to build discipline. You're here to build identity. You're here to build a future. And that requires mastering the gap. Impulse says, do it now. Intention says, pause. Impulse says, take the shortcut. Intention says, choose the long game. Impulse says, avoid discomfort. Intention says, grow through it. You have a choice, and the gap gives you that choice. Real examples of impulse versus intention. Look at elite athletes. They don't train because they feel like it. They train because intention demands it. They don't skip workouts because impulse whispers excuses. They show up because intention commands consistency. Look at successful entrepreneurs. They don't chase every shiny idea. They don't react emotionally to setbacks. They don't make decisions based on fear or impulse. They act with intention. They act with clarity. They act with long-term vision. Look at top students. They don't study only when they're motivated. They don't wait for the perfect mood. They don't let impulse dictate their schedule. They choose intention. They choose structure. They choose discipline. The pattern is universal. The principle is universal. The truth is universal. Impulse destroys. Intention builds. Why impulse feels so powerful? Impulse feels powerful because it's fast. Impulse feels powerful because it's emotional. Impulse feels powerful because it's familiar. Your brain loves what is familiar. Your brain loves what is easy. Your brain loves what is comfortable. Impulse gives your brain a quick reward. Impulse gives your brain a dopamine hit. Impulse gives your brain relief. But relief is not progress. Relief is not growth. Relief is not transformation. Impulse feels powerful, but it makes you powerless. Intention feels harder, but it makes you unstoppable. You have a choice, and that choice determines everything. How to replace impulse with intention. This is not about perfection. This is not about never feeling impulses again. This is not about eliminating emotion. This is about control. This is about awareness. This is about discipline. Here's how you do it. 1. Notice the impulse. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just notice it. Awareness breaks the autopilot. Awareness interrupts the pattern. Awareness creates space. 2. Pause for 5 seconds. This is your power. This is your leverage. This is your moment. Impulse hates the pause. Intention thrives in it. 3. Ask the question, does this serve my future? If the answer is no, walk away. If the answer is no, choose discipline. If the answer is no, choose intention. 4. Replace the impulse with a small intentional action. Not a big action, not a dramatic action. A small action. 1 rep, 1 page, 1 email, 1 step. Small actions build identity. Identity builds discipline. Discipline builds your future. 5. Repeat until intention becomes your default. Repetition rewires your brain. Repetition builds habits. Repetition builds identity. You are training yourself. You are rewiring yourself. You are transforming yourself. That's the system. That's the loop. That's the transformation. The identity shift. You must become the person who acts with intention. You must become the person who chooses the future. You must become the person who does not obey impulse. Say out loud, I choose intention. I choose discipline. I choose the long game. Identity drives action. Action creates evidence. Evidence reinforces identity. You have a choice, and every choice builds the identity of someone who acts with intention. The final truth of this chapter: impulse is easy. Impulse is comfortable. Impulse is familiar. But impulse costs your future. Impulse costs your discipline. Impulse costs your greatness. Intention is harder. Intention is slower. Intention is deliberate. But intention builds your future. Intention builds your identity. Intention builds your greatness. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose intention. Choose discipline. Choose the future. Because if your impulses cost your future, they're too expensive. You understand the battle now. You understand the gap. You understand the power. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned how to replace impulse with intention. Now it's time to learn the hidden advantage almost no one uses: the power of boredom. Chapter 8. The hidden power of boredom. There's a force in your life you've been running from, avoiding, escaping, distracting yourself from, not because it's dangerous, not because it's painful, but because it's uncomfortable. That force is boredom. You think boredom is a problem. You think boredom is a sign something is wrong. You think boredom means you need stimulation, entertainment, or escape. But here's the truth. Boredom is the birthplace of mastery. Boredom is the training ground of discipline. Boredom is the doorway to your future. You have a choice. That's the key. Why you fear boredom. You fear boredom because boredom exposes you. It exposes your lack of focus. It exposes your lack of patience. It exposes your addiction to stimulation. When you're bored, you feel the urge to escape. You reach for your phone. You open a new tab. You look for something, anything, to distract you, not because you need it, but because your brain is addicted to novelty, addicted to stimulation, addicted to instant gratification. It's not about laziness. It's about wiring. It's not about weakness. It's about conditioning. It's not about lack of discipline. It's about lack of tolerance for boredom. You have a choice, and you must choose differently. The truth about boredom. Boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is a signal. Boredom is the threshold. Boredom is the moment before growth. Every skill you want to master requires boredom. Every goal you want to achieve requires boredom. Every transformation you want to create requires boredom. Repetition is boring. Practice is boring. Consistency is boring. Discipline is boring. But boredom is where greatness is built. Look at elite athletes. They repeat the same drills thousands of times. They practice the same movements until they're automatic. They embrace the monotony. Look at successful entrepreneurs. They work through long stretches of unglamorous tasks. They grind through the boring parts of building something real. They embrace the monotony. Look at top students. They study the same material again and again. They review, revise, and refine. They embrace the monotony. The world sees a highlight. The world sees a result. The world sees a success. But the success was built in boredom. The mastery was built in monotony. The greatness was built in repetition. You have a choice, and boredom is the test. The real reason boredom is powerful. Boredom forces your brain to slow down. Boredom forces your mind to focus. Boredom forces your discipline to activate. When you sit with boredom, you are training your brain to resist impulse. When you sit with boredom, you are training your mind to stay present. When you sit with boredom, you are training your identity to choose a long game. Boredom is not a void. Boredom is a forge. Boredom is where your future self is built. But most people never reach that point. They escape too quickly. They run too fast. They avoid the discomfort. They never build the muscle. They never build the tolerance. They never build the discipline. You are not most people. You are here to grow. You are here to transform. You are here to build a future. And that requires embracing boredom. The cost of escaping boredom. Every time you escape boredom, you weaken your discipline. Every time you escape boredom, you reinforce distraction. Every time you escape boredom, you choose the moment over the mission. You scroll because you're bored. You snack because you're bored. You procrastinate because you're bored. You quit because you're bored. But boredom is not the problem. Your relationship with boredom is the problem. You treat boredom like a threat. You treat boredom like pain. You treat boredom like failure. But boredom is none of those things. Boredom is a signal that you're entering the zone where discipline is built. If you escape boredom, you escape growth. If you escape boredom, you escape mastery. If you escape boredom, you escape your future. You have a choice, and the choice is simple. Stop running from boredom. Start using it. How to harness the power of boredom. This is not about forcing yourself to suffer. This is not about punishing yourself. This is not about eliminating pleasure. This is about training your brain. This is about strengthening your discipline. This is about building your identity. Here's how you do it. 1. Practice staying in the task past the boredom point. When you feel the urge to quit, stay. When you feel the urge to escape, stay. When you feel the urge to distract yourself, stay. This is where the growth happens. This is where the discipline forms. This is where the identity shifts. 2. Remove easy escapes. Put your phone in another room. Turn off notifications. Block distracting sites. If escape is easy, you will take it. Make escape difficult. Make focus easy. 3. Build boredom tolerance intentionally. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Walk without headphones. Eat without screens. Work without switching tasks. These small practices build the muscle. These small practices build the identity. These small practices build the future. 4. Reframe boredom as progress. When you feel bored, say it, "This is where I grow. This is where I build discipline. This is where I separate myself." Boredom is not a barrier. Boredom is a milestone. 5. Track your ability to stay with boredom. Write it down. Measure it. Celebrate it. You are training your brain. You are rewiring your habits. You are building your future. That's the system. That's the loop. That's the transformation. The identity shift. You must become the person who doesn't run from boredom. You must become the person who uses boredom. You must become the person who grows through boredom. Say out loud, "I embrace boredom. I grow through boredom. I choose the long game." Identity drives action. Action creates evidence. Evidence reinforces identity. You have a choice. And every choice builds the identity of someone who can endure the monotony required for greatness. The final truth of this chapter: boredom is not your enemy. Boredom is your advantage. Boredom is your leverage. Most people run from boredom. Most people escape boredom. Most people fear boredom. But boredom is where discipline is built. Boredom is where mastery is forged. Boredom is where greatness begins. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose to stay. Choose to endure. Choose to grow. Because if your avoidance of boredom costs your future, it's too expensive. You understand the power now. You understand the discomfort. You understand the opportunity. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned how boredom builds discipline. Now it's time to confront the price you must pay for greatness. Chapter 9. Sacrifice is the price of admission. There is a truth you must accept if you want to rise. A truth most people avoid. A truth that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the builders, the average from the exceptional. You cannot keep everything and become someone new. Sacrifice is not optional. Sacrifice is not punishment. Sacrifice is not suffering. Sacrifice is the price of admission, the price of growth, the price of greatness, the price of the future you say you want. You have a choice. That's the key. The lie of having it all. You've been told you can have everything. You've been told you can keep all your comforts, all your habits, all your distractions, and still become the strongest version of yourself. That is a lie, a comforting lie, a popular lie, a lie that keeps people stuck. You cannot keep your old habits and build a new identity. You cannot keep your old comforts and build new discipline. You cannot keep your old impulses and build a long-term future. Something has to go. Something has to be cut. Something has to be sacrificed. You have a choice, and the choice is simple. What are you willing to give up to become who you want to be? The truth about sacrifice. Sacrifice is not losing. Sacrifice is trading. Sacrifice is exchanging something small for something greater. Sacrifice is choosing the future over the moment. You sacrifice comfort for growth. You sacrifice distraction for focus. You sacrifice pleasure for purpose. You sacrifice impulse for intention. Sacrifice is not about pain. Sacrifice is about priority. Sacrifice is about clarity. Sacrifice is about commitment. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their understanding. You need discipline. And discipline requires sacrifice. Real examples of sacrifice. Look at elite athletes. They sacrifice comfort. They sacrifice weekends. They sacrifice social life. They sacrifice ease. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand the price of greatness. Look at successful entrepreneurs. They sacrifice stability. They sacrifice free time. They sacrifice entertainment. They sacrifice comfort. Not because they want chaos, but because they understand the price of building something real. Look at top students. They sacrifice distraction. They sacrifice late nights. They sacrifice convenience. They sacrifice comfort. Not because they love studying, but because they understand the price of mastery. The pattern is universal. The principle is universal. The truth is universal. Sacrifice is the price of admission, the cost of avoiding sacrifice. Avoiding sacrifice feels good now, but it destroys you later. When you avoid sacrifice, you choose comfort over growth. When you avoid sacrifice, you choose distraction over discipline. When you avoid sacrifice, you choose the moment over the mission. Avoiding sacrifice leads to stagnation. Avoiding sacrifice leads to regret. Avoiding sacrifice leads to a life where you know you could have been more, but chose not to be. That is the real pain, not the sacrifice itself. The regret of never becoming who you were capable of becoming. You have a choice. And avoiding sacrifice is still a choice that costs your future. If it costs your future, it's too expensive. Why sacrifice feels hard? Sacrifice feels hard because it forces you to confront yourself. It forces you to confront your habits. It forces you to confront your comfort. It forces you to confront your excuses. Sacrifice exposes what you value. Sacrifice exposes what you fear. Sacrifice exposes what you're unwilling to let go of. Sacrifice is not about losing something external. Sacrifice is about shedding the internal version of you that cannot survive at the next level. You cannot rise while holding on to the weight of your old self. You cannot evolve while clinging to the habits that keep you small. You cannot transform while protecting the comforts that weaken you. You have a choice, and sacrifice is the doorway. How to practice sacrifice intentionally. Sacrifice is not random. Sacrifice is not chaotic. Sacrifice is not reckless. Sacrifice is strategic. Sacrifice is intentional. Sacrifice is aligned with your future. Here's how you do it. 1. Identify what is holding you back. Your distractions, your habits, your comforts, your impulses. Write them down. Face them. Name them. You cannot sacrifice what you refuse to acknowledge. 2. Choose one thing to sacrifice first. Not everything. Not all at once. One thing. One habit. One distraction. One comfort. Sacrifice must be sustainable. Sacrifice must be strategic. 3. Replace the sacrifice with a disciplined action. If you sacrifice scrolling, replace it with reading. If you sacrifice snacking, replace it with hydration. If you sacrifice procrastination, replace it with a 5-minute start. Sacrifice without replacement creates a void. Replacement creates transformation. 4. Track your sacrifices. Write them down. Record your progress. See the evidence. Evidence builds identity. Identity builds discipline. Discipline builds your future. 5. Increase the level of sacrifice as you grow. Small sacrifices build momentum. Bigger sacrifices build mastery. Great sacrifices build greatness. You are training yourself. You are proving yourself. You are transforming yourself. That's the system. That's the loop. That's the path. The identity shift. You must become the person who sacrifices for the future. You must become the person who chooses a long game. You must become the person who gives up what is easy for what is meaningful. Say it out loud. I sacrifice for my future. I choose the long game. I choose discipline. Identity drives action. Action creates evidence. Evidence reinforces identity. You have a choice. And every sacrifice builds the identity of someone who is unstoppable. The final truth of this chapter: sacrifice is not suffering. Sacrifice is strategy. Sacrifice is strength. Sacrifice is self-respect. Most people avoid sacrifice. Most people cling to comfort. Most people protect their impulses. And that is why most people never rise. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Choose to sacrifice what weakens you. Choose to sacrifice what distracts you. Choose to sacrifice what costs your future. Because if your comfort costs your future, it's too expensive. If your habits cost your future, they're too expensive. If your excuses cost your future, they're too expensive. You understand the price now. You understand the trade. You understand the responsibility. Good, because now we go deeper. You've learned the price of greatness. Now it's time to learn how to build a life that rewards patience and discipline. Chapter 10. Build a life that rewards patience. You've learned discipline. You've learned sacrifice. You've learned how to delay gratification, resist impulse, and choose the long game. Now you must learn the final skill: how to build a life that rewards patience. Because discipline is not just about what you do. It's about what you build. It's about the systems you create. It's about the environment you design. It's about the identity you reinforce every single day. You have a choice. That's the key. You can build a life that constantly tempts you, distracts you, and pulls you backward, or you can build a life that makes discipline easier, patience natural, and long-term success inevitable. This chapter is about engineering your future, not hoping for it, not wishing for it, building it. The problem: most people build for now, not later. Most people design their life around comfort, around convenience, around what feels good today. They build routines that reward distraction. They build habits that reward instant gratification. They build environments that reward impulse. And then they wonder why they can't stay consistent. They wonder why they can't stay disciplined. They wonder why they can't stay focused. It's not about laziness. It's about design. It's not about weakness. It's about structure. It's not about lack of motivation. It's about lack of systems. You have a choice, and you must choose to build a life that rewards patience, not punishes it. The truth: Patience is a system, not a personality trait. People think patience is something you're born with, a natural gift, a personality trait. That's wrong. Patience is engineered. Patience is trained. Patience is built. Patience is a result of systems that reinforce long-term thinking. Patience is the result of habits that compound over time. Patience is the result of routines that make discipline automatic. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to be naturally patient. You need structure. You need clarity. You need systems. Because systems beat motivation. Systems beat impulse. Systems beat emotion. Systems build patience. Patience builds greatness. Greatness builds your future. The 3 pillars of a life that rewards patience. To build a life that rewards patience, you must build 3 things. Long-term goals, daily systems, identity-based habits. Let's break them down. 1. Long-term goals, your North Star. You cannot play the long game without a long-term target. You cannot stay patient without a vision. You cannot stay disciplined without a destination. Your long-term goals must be clear, specific, compelling, not vague dreams, not loose ideas, not someday fantasies. A long-term goal is a commitment, a direction, a promise to your future self. Examples: I will build a strong, healthy body. I will master my craft. I will create financial freedom. I will become someone I respect. These are not wishes. These are missions. When you have a mission, patience becomes easier. When you have a mission, discipline becomes natural. When you have a mission, sacrifice becomes obvious. You have a choice. Choose a mission worthy of your future. 2. Daily systems, the engine of discipline. Long-term goals give you direction. Daily systems give you momentum. A system is a routine that makes discipline automatic. A system is a structure that removes decision-making. A system is a process that keeps you consistent even when you don't feel like it. Examples: a morning routine that sets your focus. A work block that eliminates distraction. A training schedule that builds consistency. A weekly review that reinforces progress. Systems turn discipline into habit. Systems turn patience into a lifestyle. Systems turn long-term goals into daily action. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You have a choice. Build systems that support your future, not sabotage it. 3. Identity-based habits, the foundation of everything. Your habits are not just actions. Your habits are statements. Your habits are declarations of who you are. When you act with discipline, you reinforce the identity of a disciplined person. When you act with patience, you reinforce the identity of a patient person. When you act with long-term focus, you reinforce the identity of a long-term thinker. Identity drives action. Action creates evidence. Evidence reinforces identity. That's the loop. That's the system. That's the transformation. Identity-based habits are small, consistent actions that prove who you are becoming. Examples: reading 10 minutes a day, training even when you don't feel like it, working without checking your phone, finishing what you start. These habits are not about results. They are about identity. They are about becoming the person who deserves the future you want. You have a choice. Choose habits that build your future, not habits that destroy it. The compound effect of patience. Patience is not passive. Patience is not waiting. Patience is not doing nothing. Patience is consistent action over time. Patience is trusting the process. Patience is believing in the long game. When you build a life that rewards patience, something powerful happens. Your progress compounds. Your discipline compounds. Your identity compounds. Small actions become big results. Small habits become massive transformation. Small sacrifices become long-term greatness. This is a secret. This is the advantage. This is a reward. You have a choice. Choose the long game. How to build a life that rewards patience. Here's the blueprint. 1. Remove short-term temptations from your environment. Make distraction hard. Make focus easy. 2. Create routines that anchor your day. Morning, work, training, reflection. 3. Track your progress weekly, not daily. Daily results lie. Weekly patterns tell the truth. 4. Celebrate consistency, not intensity. Intensity fades. Consistency compounds. 5. Build habits that reinforce your identity. Every action is a vote for your future. This is how you build a life that rewards patience. This is how you build a life that supports discipline. This is how you build a life that makes greatness inevitable. The final truth of this chapter: you are not waiting for your future. You are building it. You are not hoping for discipline. You are engineering it. You are not dreaming of greatness. You are constructing it. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. Build a life that rewards patience. Build a life that supports discipline. Build a life that honors your future. Because if your lifestyle costs your future, it's too expensive. If your habits cost your future, they're too expensive. If your systems cost your future, they're too expensive. You understand the blueprint now. You understand the structure. You understand the responsibility. Good, because now we close the loop. You've built the mindset. You've built the discipline. You've built the identity. Now it's time to bring it all together. Closing chapter, the final challenge. You now understand the truth. Success is not talent, luck, or timing. It is the ability to delay gratification. It is the power to say no when everyone else says yes. It is the strength to choose the future over the moment, the mission over the impulse, the long game over the quick hit of pleasure. Every chapter of this audiobook has given you the tools to resist distraction, to master your environment, to build identity through action, to crave the long-term win, and to sacrifice what is easy for what is meaningful. Now the responsibility is yours. No more excuses. No more surrendering to impulses that weaken you. No more trading your potential for temporary comfort. Starting today, you become the person who waits, who works, who endures, who outlasts. Starting today, you choose the long game. And if you're ready to prove it, then your challenge is simple. Pick one temptation, one impulse, one comfort that has controlled you, and deny it. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. Show yourself who you really are.